Hey friends, welcome to my vlog slash video slash bookshelf tour of redoing our library now, I guess I can call it, slash dining room. I didn't record a proper ending for this video, but as always, thank you for spending your time with me. I hope you enjoy this video. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can always click on some of the links down below. You can join the Patreon, not mandatory, I can't speak this morning, not mandatory, but always appreciated. But I hope you enjoy. I love what we've been able to do in this room. I'm super excited, and here it is. Hello, we're getting new shelves and I'm very excited. So I'm just gonna show a little bit of what we're dealing with right now in our room here and then keep you updated as what it's gonna look like. So these are my shelves that I currently had that are now empty. My dining room table that normally goes in the middle of the space here. And of course, all of my books that are gonna be getting replaced. So what we're gonna have done is this shelf is moving slightly that way, this shelf slightly this way. We're gonna get a smaller one put in the middle, then we're connecting it onto this wall, and then we're gonna have another shelf here. So we've also got books like all throughout here and all that fun stuff, so that's fun. But it is going to be all there and there, so I'm excited. Hi, Penny. What's she doing, Pen? The space right now feels so much bigger because the table's not in the middle of the room. That's my big Hagrid hut painting there. It's not a painting, it's a print, but either way, I'm super excited to see how it's gonna go. We're having the shelves brought in, installed tomorrow. My in-laws made them. I'm really excited. So we're getting our shelves today. Tell everyone how excited you are for our shelves.
I'm excited for Laura to get our shelves.
You're excited for you.
I'm
to
excited
get
for me
too.
too. Can display more of my my books too.
Came for a walk this morning and it's very nice and it's cool.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna be
so
like,
nice.
I think 88 today, but it's probably about
Is it
70
really?
now, 60, 68, 70. Yeah, it's gonna be gross today.
It's gross, but it's nice now.
Okay, that is IQUC.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I'll do a more in-depth one tomorrow, but I have my cookbooks and stuff on the bottom, so those are a bit more empty, but I love the way it curves. And then over there we've got our other section here, so yep, I love it. All right, so we're gonna do a little bit of a bookshelf tour here. So over on this side, we've got The Expanse. We've got Empire of Silence here, which we haven't read yet, but I like the cover, and I'm trying to keep sort of sci-fi stuff-ish over here. We then got Isaac, what even is that? Isaac Asimov's Foundation. And then I've got my little Discworld section over here. I have only read Going Postal, but I'm hoping to read these around Halloween this year because I think that'll be fun. Over here, sort of still keeping with this sci-fi, but it's more sci-fantasy, so here we are. We've got Red Rising. If you know, I love these three. I have feelings about these. Over here, we've then got the illustrated first two books of Game of Thrones and my little dragon's egg here that I got many moons ago. We then have a mix of hardcover and paperback. I'm not really sure how this happened. I think it was because Josh and I merged our books when we got married, and then things kind of got lost in the shuffle with moves and stuff. But we've got all of those here. We then have Fire and Blood and A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. And I love the cover for A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, so I generally try to have it showing. I really, really love that book. And then over here is my Harry Potter shelf. So we've got Tales of Beetle the Bard. I always say Beetle and Bard, even though that's wrong. And then I collected these covers because they are the British and Canadian covers, which I love. These are the ones that I grew up with. I think they're really, really nice. And these ones I got at the midnight releases, so they're special. And then have the Jim K illustrated ones here, my wand from Potter World, a little chocolate box here, and the 3 Mina Lima editions, which apparently we're not getting any more Mina Lima editions, so there's that. Then on this shelf here, I've got my romantasy shelf. There are more romantasy books here, but these are my ACOTAR books. My ACOTAR books here. Court of Mist and Fury is my favorite, along with the Court of Silver Flame. I then have Crescent City here in Fourth Wing. This shelf will be expanding. This is why it's a little bit vacant and stuff is sort of facing more forward than maybe other shelves are. Also, that's the nice thing right now, is that I've got a lot of space, so I have stuff to work with. Down here, we've got the Kindred Curse Saga by Pencool, which is an indie published romantasy series. We've got Tales from 1001 Nights. Hi, Mary. We've got Galatia by Madeline Miller. We've got our World of Warcraft books here, which, if you don't know that story, Josh and I met on World of Warcraft, so we like World of Warcraft. This is my Aesop Fairy Tales book right here. And then have Peter Pan, Guardians of the Galaxy, Brothers Grimm here, and then we've got our little Patrick Rothfuss collection. And on the bottom shelf over here, it's some cookbooks and the anthology of complete works of Shakespeare. So then in the middle section here, I've got the Lies of Locke Lamora, the Gentleman Bastard series, because that is one of Josh's favorites. I then have the Secret Projects for Sanderson. I have my man, Mr. Joe Abercrombie, which I love these because these are the ones from Broken Binding over here. They're signed by Joe, which I really, really love. And then if you watched my Montreal vlog, these are the 3 I got in Montreal, and they're pretty much the same size, which is really nice. And thematically, I think they go together really well. And then I have them continuing over there with Joe. I then have my Warlord Chronicles shelf because I love that so much. This should be a little bit forward here. There we go. I don't love the purple, honestly. I don't love the purple, but it's got the mask, and then here we've got them fighting, of course, and I love the Excalibur cover. It's such a classic fantasy cover. I just love it so much. Then on my next shelf, I've got the Iliad by Emily Wilson, Circe, Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, and well, when I say the Iliad by Emily Wilson, I mean translated by Emily Wilson, and then the Odyssey, also translated by Emily Wilson. This one was gifted to me by Evie, and I love it so very much. And then on the bottom shelf, I've got a dragon book for my daughter, which is really gorgeous, and Mythopedia, which is these really great myth stories. Then we come back up, I've got our GGK stuff over here, but we're gonna be getting more around Christmas time. But I love the Song for Arbonne cover. We then have Sailing to Serantium, Lord of Emperors, A Brightness Long Ago, All the Seas of the World. I love this cover. I haven't read this one yet, but I think the cover is gorgeous. So that's why it's facing outwards. Lions of Alverson, I've been trying to find a hardcover for, but it is really difficult. And we then have Tigana, The Last Light of the Sun, and Children of Earth and Sky. Over here we move over into Augustus by John Williams, which is such a phenomenal book. And we have Celtic Tales here, How to Be a Good Creature, which is a really beautiful book, especially if you are dealing with or grieving with animal loss. And I have Piranesi over here, and my quill. And then we come down to, I tried to have a level of continuity here. So you can see Sanderson continues this way, and then we have Joe Abercrombie that continues that way, and Bernard Cornwell that continues that way. But over on the Sanderson shelf, we've got Elantris. I have Warbreaker, Warbreaker being probably my favorite Sanderson novel. I love it so much. Mistborn here, Mistborn Heir 2. I have the paperbacks of the Stormlight Archive. I have a feeling I might be getting the hardcovers for those for Christmas. We then have Arcanum Unbound. We have the novellas here. That is not a novella, but that's a conversation for a different day. And then my 3 non-Cosmere Sanderson books here. So The Many Lives of Stephen Leeds, The Evil Librarians, and Alcatraz versus the Evil Librarians, and The Rhythmatist. I haven't read these yet, but they're on the list. So it's coming. Back to my guy over here. This is all Joe Abercrombie right here. This is another, I have 3 copies of the Blade itself, and I also really want to get the hardcovers for these because they are getting a little bit of wear and tear from having been read, but we'll see. Josh is already making fun of the fact that I have 3 copies of the Blade itself because I also have this one, which is also signed. Over here is Zach Argyle's beautiful collection of his books. This was his Kickstarter. It's so nice. I love it. And we then have Wheel of Time over here. We don't actually own all of Wheel of Time. We go up to book 12 because I have only read up till here, and my husband has read all of these and was getting very disinterested in the end. So we don't own all of them. Over here, we have Bernard Cornwell, which we love Bernard Cornwell, hence why he gets his own little section here. But we've got 1356, we've got Heretic, Vagabond, The Archer's Tale, Agincourt, and we have the Saxon Chronicles here, which we really enjoy. And then have Stonehenge and Fools and Mortals. We have not read the Sharp series yet, but we figure at some point we probably will. Over here, I then have my girl, Emily Henry. I'm actually missing People We Meet on Vacation, which is strange because I love People We Meet on Vacation. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it's definitely mine. We then have Butcher and Blackbird, Leather and Lark, Ted Chiang, who kind of doesn't fit into this section, but alas, here it is. This is kind of just my mismatch section until we get a few more books for Christmas, and then it'll kind of all come together, followed by Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. We then have The Princess Bride. Had to pause, my kid came in, but got The Princess Bride, which I love so very much. I then have The City of Brass, which I haven't read yet, and Judas Blossom, which I haven't read. The Drowned King had a sticker on it because we got it secondhand, which came off, which I am very angered by. Daughter of the Moon Goddess, we've got Heartless Hunter, which I ended up loving this year, The Secret Garden, The Chronicles of Narnia, The Veiled Kingdom, Book of the Five Rings, and The Alchemist. As I said, this is kind of a weird amalgamation spot, and then I've got more cookbooks down here. And then if we come up into the corner, we have N.K. Jemisin up here with Broken Earth trilogy. I need to get the 3rd book that matches the same height. I then have some Daniel Abraham over here. We've got the book 1 of Long Price Quartet, and then I believe this is all of Dagger and Coin. I could be wrong. And then The Age of Ash. I'm not sure. I haven't read these yet. These are for Josh. My special edition of The Hobbit, which I love. These books all match in terms of height, hence why they are next to each other. Dragonbone Chair, Malice, Stardust Thief, The Shadow of What Was Lost, and The Shadow of the Gods, which is great. Then over here, you can hear my daughter in the background, we've got The Witcher, we've got Shadow and Bone, and the Six of Crows duology. We then have David Gemmell here and The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. Now this shelf is a cover shelf for me. I have read a few of these, but not all of them. I have read Where the Dark Stands Still, and I really enjoyed it, but the cover is just so beautiful. I absolutely adore this cover. I've talked about it before, but I really love it. And then over here we've got the first 3 books of the Flesh and Fire series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I still have not yet read Babel, but I love this cover. I think it's so gorgeous. I have a book by Tad Williams here, which Josh then realized later was a later book in a series and not a book one. Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I have A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle Jensen, and The City of Stardust by Georgia Summers, I believe is her name. And on the end here, we've got Natalie Haynes' Stoneblind. I also haven't read this. I'm not anticipating I'm going to love this one, but I really do love the cover. I love Medusa. I have a necklace with Medusa on it, which I've talked about on the channel before. I really, really love her. So over here, we've got my paperbacks of the Warlord Chronicles. We have the Thursday Murder Club, which really isn't fantasy, but it's over here anyway. Will of the Many, which I loved this year. This is a historical fiction series by Maurice Rouen, which is the inspiration for Game of Thrones. George R. R. Martin has talked about that. These are actually really hard to find, and it's interesting because they were written in French, and this is a translation, and they've never really been widely distributed to the English population, but I don't really know why, because I think that they would do really well. But they're I think they were written in the 1950s or 60s possibly, so it's not a new series by any means. But if you like historical fiction and history, basically this is dealing with 1300s France, and it's very, very fascinating. Over here we then have Gardens of the Moon by Stephen Erickson, The Way of Adan by Dr. Philip Chase, aka Dr. Fantasy, The Hexologist, Earthsea by, this is Josiah Bancroft for The Hexologist, and then Ursula K. Le Guin for Earthsea. Then I'm sorry, I am paying attention to the bookshelf and not where I'm holding things. We have The Spirit Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez here, The Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison, and The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. So here is a bit of my problem section, is that I love this cover very, very much for Neil Gaiman, and I love a lot of my covers for Neil Gaiman, but I am very unhappy with Neil Gaiman these days, so I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Over here, I then have the Philip Pullman trilogy, the Golden Compass, the Subtle Knife, and the Amber Spyglass, and here is my Sailor Moon manga. Down here, I've got a few miscellaneous things. That's a holder for books that I have on my mantle. These are American covers for Harry Potter, and then I have George R. R. Martin's The World of Ice and Fire down there. So over here, this is now our mostly nonfiction section. This is our history section. So a lot of these are academic books and history books, or things like plays, Greek plays specifically. And then at the bottom here, we have our classics that we have in the house that are all that old. I think they're Barnes & Noble editions. Yeah, they're the Barnes & Noble classics from a while ago. So up here, we have The Great Conversation, which is the philosophy book, and Plato's Symposium, Gods, Heroes, and Monsters. I love this cover. Greek philosophy. This is Euripides here, Sophocles. We then have more Euripides, Plato, the Epic of Gilgamesh. You can see that these books have been well loved and read. So some of the ones that we've got here are Arrian, Tacitus, Apelles, Aristophanes, Caesar and the Civil War, Sophocles, Sallust, Xenophon, Plutarch. Then these are Roman. This is kind of the distinguishing factor, but these are also Penguin, and these are Oxford Press. So we have Plautus here, Terence, Ovid, Virgil, Petronius, and then this is a history book it's the Penguin History of Greece. Then my girl, Mary Beard. I love Mary Beard very, very much. Over here, we've got these books they're obviously quite short summaries on ancient Greece and the Roman Empire. This is my earliest edition of the Iliad and a Barnes & Noble classic of the Odyssey. And then we had run out of room, so we have Moby Dick and the Hounds and Baskervilles here. Then if we come down another shelf, I've got Italy in the West, the Romans. This is a brief history of Rome. This is a history of Byzantium, Livy for the history of Rome. This is a play, the Oresteia. Of course, we've got the Odyssey, Mary Beard again, because I love her so very much. This is a history of the later Roman Empire, so dealing with around the year 400, maybe 300 and later. This is the landmark of the histories by Herodotus, which is always an interesting read. This is a brief introduction to the New Testament by Oxford Press. This is Bart Ehrman. If you're ever interested in academically studying Christianity, I highly, highly recommend Bart Ehrman, as well as The Bible as Literature. I think that that's an interesting read. The Sacred Paths of the West deals with Western traditions, specifically the Abrahamic religions, so Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. This is a history book dealing with the Hellenistic world from Alexander to the Roman conquest. These are quotes from the Roman Empire period. They're primary sources, which are really, really fascinating. It gives you a glimpse into what life was like. This deals with the Bronze Age, and this is an introduction to Islam. This is a book detailing the flood before Noah, the history of the story of the flood, because it's quite detailed. This is called The Prince of Darkness. I absolutely love this book. It's a history of the Christian Satan, which is really, really fascinating. Here we have the Alexiad, Dracula, and the Iliad again. So we kind of got more stories over here. Then this is my little Egypt shelf. There's much more Egypt on here, but this is kind of our stuff. These are spells for eternity, which a fun little tip. Historians should have caught this, but it's not actually called the Egyptian Book of the Dead. It's actually, when translated, called the Book of Going Out by Day, because it was that the soul would be able to leave the tomb during day if it had prayers from this book in the tomb itself. So that's something that's a little bit wrong most of the time, and now you'll have that fun fact information. Our little black cat here. Then I have our little canoptic jars, which I love, which if you're familiar with mummification, these are where the organs would have been placed. Obviously, these are not real. They are much smaller than the real ones would be. We have the Penguin Historical Atlas of Ancient Egypt by Bill Manley here. We have the Complete Gods and Goddesses of Ancient Egypt, the Civilization of Ancient Egypt, and just Ancient Egypt. These, however, are real. These are Ushabtis. A lot of museums, when they have too much excess, will have sales, and that is how we came to acquire these. They are little servants, basically, that were buried with the pharaohs, and the thought was that these would come to life and serve the pharaoh in the next life, so that humans didn't have to be killed when the pharaoh was killed. So there's that. The Art of Ancient Egypt. I absolutely love this book. I used this in my thesis. I adore this book. Gay Robbins did a beautiful job with the description, the history, everything about that book was just very, very meticulously done. Then over here, I've got world religions, Buddhist religions, the experience of Buddhism, the pagan mysteries of Halloween. I've got Primitive Myths, Massive Gods by Joseph Campbell, the Gospel of Judas, the Druids. I have Norse mythology right here, and then I have my classical mythology, another classical myth, and the anthology of classical myth. All of these kind of cover similar things, but they all add and take away differently, so it's always great to have more than one. My HarperCollins Study Bible. If you are in academia and studying Christianity, this is the Bible you will have, because it has history at the bottom of it, which is really amazing. I got this book for like $3, which was awesome. It's the Dead Sea Scrolls. I got it at a book sale. This little one here is about the Hittites. This one is Thucydides, which is on justice, power, and human nature. This one here is Goddesses, Whores, Wives, and Slaves, which is an interesting one. Over here, we've got the Komnenon dynasty, which is from Byzantium. My husband actually is a descendant from this, so it's important in our household. Then we have the Apocalyptic Imagination over here, which is a great book for studying apocalyptic biblical texts. It's really, really fascinating. Over here, we've got Dante's Inferno, so not quite a historical book, but something different. And the Canterbury Tales by Chaucer. We have Aeschylus with Prometheus and other plays. I have Mary Beard here, which is confronting the classics. Over here, then, we have Aeschylus and the Oresteia. Again, we have The Art of War by Sun Tzu. I have Mary Beard here with Women in Power. I did a vlog on this book if anyone's interested. I then have The Greatest Night by Thomas Asbridge, which I believe it's by, or is on William, is it William Marshall? Yeah, it's William Marshall. Okay, it's right there. Let me see if I can fix this now. A lot of these books used to be in order, and they will be eventually again, but I just needed to kind of get them up on my shelves for now. We have Rome in the Late Republic here. This is Mary Beard again and Crawford. I then have the Babylonian Genesis here by Heidel. This is so interesting. If you're fascinated in mythology, I highly, highly recommend this book. We then have Kenai here, which is one of the worst, if not the worst, Roman battle for them to lose. War of the Roses, which is about the War of the Roses, obviously. Aristophanes, the Four Comedies. We have the Poison King here, which... Poison King is the life and legend of Mithridates, Rome's deadliest enemy, which is super interesting. Let me see if I can fix this here. Hold on. Okay, so we then have Charlemagne here. Again, that's a Josh book, not a me book. We have the ancient Mediterranean civilizations, the ancient Near East, more ancient Mesopotamia over here, early Byzantium pilgrimage art, and art of the Celts. Then over here I have a book on King Tut that I used when I taught history for my students. I have Gulliver's Travels here, David Copperfield, The Arabian Nights, the collection of Oscar Wilde, the brothers Karamazov. I don't know this one. Karamazov, yeah, that's a Josh book too. The Three Musketeers, The Last of the Mohicans, Treasure Island, The Call of the Wild. We then have The Count of Monte Cristo and Pride and Prejudice here. This is a Norse myth book here. We got a bit more mythology over here. Introduction to Mythology, Classical Mythology. This is Greek Architecture and Sculpture. This is Ancient Egypt again. These two books here are Islamic art. They're really quite beautiful. Greek Mythology, Archaic and Classical Greek art over here. And then these are all art books for Greece and Rome. And on my bottom shelf here, this is a massive book that I got from an exhibit that came to Montreal many years ago on ancient Egypt. Specifically, it was on King Tut, I believe. Zahi Hawass is, if you've ever watched like a documentary on Egypt, he's pretty much always the guy that you see, so that's not surprising. These are all art history books right here. These are more classics. We've got Nicholas Nickleby, Journey to the Center of the Earth, Persuasion, Memories of Sherlock Holmes, War and Peace. Over here we have Emerson's Essential Writings, Oscar Wilde, Picture of Dorian Gray, and this is H.G. Wells, The Island of Dr. Moreau. And over here we've got more history books. So this is Unbroken, which I have not read any of these. These are Hamilton was for me, but I still haven't read it yet, but the rest of these are Josh books. We have Rick Atkinson's World War II books over here. Khrushchev over here, which is a biography that Josh wanted a couple years ago for Christmas. We have Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, Clemente, Titan, and Lyndon Johnson. So these are my bookshelves now, and it is so exciting. I have loved being able to do this. This is how it looks from this angle now. Oh, hey Mary. As you can see, this is a dining room, and yes, I already have a little bit of fall decor out. Hi, Mer. But the view itself now is just beautiful. I absolutely adore it. I'm gonna put some stuff up here that's holiday focused and or some plants and things like that. But in general, I'm so excited with how it turned out, how everything came together. I just love having this center piece here. It's definitely going to change, as the bottom will as well, as of Christmas time, because Josh and I have each gotten each other special editions already that I know of. So I am just really, really in general excited about it. And then over here we've got our nonfiction with a little bit of fiction in there. But the room has come together really nicely to form our library. So I'm super excited, and thanks for watching along with me. I'll see you next time. Bye.